Today on the podcast, I am joined by someone who has spent decades serving Somerset County in a very real and hands-on kind of way. Brian Fochtman is a Somerset County commissioner, but long before that has dedicated his career to public safety, serving 25 years as a Pennsylvania state trooper, borough police chief in Berlin, as well as Berlin school resource officer. From patrol cars to the classrooms to county government, Brian has seen this county in just about every angle. Today we're talking about that journey and what he's learned along the way and how those experiences shape the way he serves Somerset County today. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel or give us a follow on Spotify. It greatly helps the show. Please enjoy the episode, Mr. Brian Fochtman. Today's episode is sponsored in part by SECHLER Insurance Group, LLC, your local independent insurance agency, proudly serving Somerset County and the surrounding area since 1931. With offices located in Rockwood and Somerset, SECHLER Insurance Group specializes in auto, home, commercial, farm, life, and financial services. So stop by, see Scott and Jason and their team for a personalized review of your insurance today. This episode is sponsored in part by SDC Building Center in Somerset, your hometown source for quality building materials. I use them for my own jobs and around the house, and they always come through. So if you're building, remodeling, or just doing something around the house, check out SDC Building Center in Somerset. Yeah, I greatly appreciate you coming.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you in person finally.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've seen your son at the game, at the Berlin football games, but now he's a coach at Somerset.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that's cool. You gotta be proud of that.
Very, very excited for him.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for him.
Yeah.
And great opportunity for Somerset football, I think.
When did he start in that position?
He just got hired this past December. He has been there. He coached a couple years at Berlin after he graduated college, and then got hired at Somerset as a guidance counselor. Got on the staff. He's been with Somerset for 2 years now. And when Jeff Urban stepped away, he came on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
The same to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any Christmas traditions that you and your family do, or like New Year's traditions?
Christmas wise, my mom's 93 years old.
Okay. Wow.
She still lives in New Baltimore, and we like to take her to mass every Sunday. But we like to go to mass every Christmas Eve, and I let her pick. In New Baltimore, we have a 6 p.m. and a 10 p.m. and I always like the midnight mass. I always like the later, but Mom chose 6 p.m., so we go to 6 p.m.
Nice. Yeah, we did that whenever I was a kid, midnight mass. Cool. I had my daughters out yesterday. Like, I don't know if you noticed my yard, it's all tore up, but there was just enough snow. Like, my golf cart will still go in this amount of snow, and so I was dragging them all across the yard yesterday. And they were like, it was freezing out yesterday.
Oh my, yeah.
And you couldn't see an inch of skin on them. Like, their faces were covered. They just were howling. They loved it, But I was like, you guys want to keep going? I think we, almost went through a tank of gas in the golf cart just doing the circle around the house.
I bet.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we kind of lay low New Year's Eve and just, play games, do appetizers, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But,
it's we watch a lot of football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, big game Sunday. You Steelers fan?
Not pro as much as I am college.
Okay.
I always say, my football priority goes, I like Friday night the best.
Yeah.
Then Saturday. And if I watch a pro game, I watch one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, being from Berlin, I understand. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Who's your college team?
Penn State.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went to Rutgers.
Oh, okay.
And, Pitt, I was there and got to see Larry Fitzgerald play for Pitt at Rutgers which was cool. Went to a game there. And I also went to University of Maryland, and I was there the year after they won the championship.
Okay. And
got to be friends with one of the wide receivers there. And it was the most odd couple you could imagine. And here I am, I went for golf turf.
Okay.
And so here I am in my apartment, and my neighbor was really good friends with this guy. They were from the same town.
All right.
And he wasn't even going to university. He was just there. He was working.
Oh.
But he was really good friends with this guy. And so I got to know him through that, and we'd go out for wings. And there I am with the wide receiver. I can't think of his last name. Julian was his first name. But anyway, and there's the running back, and there's the defensive line. We're sitting in a booth.
Yeah.
And I'm not that big.
Right.
And, they're asking me, you going to finish those wings? No, sir. They're all yours.
How about it?
I was so out of place. But it just, it was fun. It was kind of an eye-opening experience for me, to say the least. But, good group of guys. But, no, it was... so I got to see a game there at University of Maryland, and got to go to a game while I was at Rutgers.
Okay.
But other than that, I've been up to the stadium at Beaver Stadium, but never seen a game in there.
It's crazy. You get 107,000 people going. It's a Penn State game versus a Steeler game is two totally different atmospheres.
Cool.
Been
to a couple Steeler games. But
you're saying about the players. When Braden, we were doing the rounds with Braden when he was getting recruited, and I said the one thing that you noticed is like, wide receivers were normal, quarterbacks were normal, running backs were normal, D-backs were normal. But it's like, where do these offensive and defensive linemen come from?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just enormous human beings.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And they seem to be getting bigger.
Yeah. If you're not 6'5", 300 pounds, you're not D1.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, well, they are fun to watch for sure. Yeah, and my daughters are starting to get into it a little bit. Like they're, I haven't watched a whole lot of football over the past couple of years because I was just kind of disappointed in the NFL a little bit, and then used to be a huge Steeler fan, and then just kind of took a break for a while. But we're coming back a little bit slowly, just kind of watch them, and then I want them to know about the game at least, so they can follow and understand, But they ask good questions. They ask a lot of questions, so you better be patient because here come a bunch of questions. But hey, that's how you learn,
And I kind of touched on it there, but I'm with you. Whenever they politicized the NFL, I kind of really lost the taste in my mouth for it.
They started kneeling for the flag. I was like, I'm out. I'm done. And then they got on out Villanueva for coming out of standing and putting his hand on his heart, and they made him apologize for it. I thought, you idiots.
The one guy that was doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah. He is a veteran,
Right, yeah. So. Whenever Kaepernick came out with the socks with the, police officers being depicted as pigs.
Yeah, right. And that effect, I'm sure that stung a little bit for you.
Oh, that cut pretty deep.
Cut deep. Well, we'll get into all that. But, Brian Fochtman, County Commissioner there in Somerset County.
Yes, sir.
Grateful that you come to spend some time with us.
Well, again, I appreciate the opportunity.
So, what kind of tell us a little bit about your role as the commissioner up there? I know there's three of you. Mm-hmm. We had Irv on, and he kind of touched on some of the things that he's involved with. But kind of what's your role there in the county?
Basically, we all work together, but we all also have our own little things that we're kind of responsible for. One of my projects that I've really been pushing is the ATV side-by-side trail.
Okay.
And, we've been making some headway with that, not near as much as I wanted to or anticipated, 2 years into it. But I deal a lot with the jail is one of my things. The sheriff's department, because of my background, is one of the aspects that I really concentrate on. Honestly, a lot of it we do together. We all have a vision for the county. We all want what's best for the county, and everything that we do is kind of going that direction. Yeah. One thing that I've learned in the 2 years that I've been doing this is it's all about making connections, and you find somebody who, and I've kind of done this with my life. You find somebody that's doing what you want to do or is where you want to be, and you kind of emulate them. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of interacting with other county commissioners, and you discuss things, and hey, if it worked in this county, why can't it work in our county?
Yeah. Is there a county out there in PA that you're like, that you really kind of got your eye on, or?
I'll tell you what. Honestly, our neighbors to the east there, Bedford County has done just a fantastic job, developing their businesses, mm-hmm. And bringing businesses into the county.
Yeah.
And I look at them and I think of Somerset County, and as far as infrastructure, we've got every bit the infrastructure that they have, mm-hmm. but we have twice the population.
Yeah.
So why can't we bring in something? And that's something that we've really been pushing for, and we've got a couple irons in the fire, and if they work out, it's going to be fantastic for Somerset County.
Okay. Like what? Are you able to say or not yet?
I don't want to go into it right now.
Oh, you can break news here on the Route 21 podcast.
I don't want to jinx us.
Yeah, okay,
but,
that's cool.
Believe me,
yeah.
You'll know.
Yeah, well, that's great. I think, we'd like to see growth. Obviously, we got a lot of heritage and history here in Somerset County. But at the same time, we've got to give these kids reasons to stay in those post-college years. Because
right.
I mean, I boomeranged.
Yeah.
Great place to raise a family.
Yeah.
Wow. And there is some good manufacturing and things like that. But with the potential economic boom, I think I see it federally and nationwide. It would be great to be a part of that in some way that is beneficial to the county.
Right. And we're kind of sitting in a good position as far as where we are distance-wise from Pittsburgh, mm-hmm. And then again, like I said, the infrastructure, 219, if we can get that thing finished, it gives us direct contact with 68,
yeah.
which opens up the southern part of the East Coast for us, obviously the Pennsylvania Turnpike,
yeah.
And I said, after I got on, we have Pennsylvania's greatest unnatural resource, being the turnpike,
yeah.
and we have the greatest natural resource with water.
Yeah.
Anywhere with the Queen pipeline, we can get water about anywhere we need to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, take advantage of the turnpike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the ATV trail. Tell me a little bit more about that, and like where does it start and end, or what?
Whenever I first got on, I wanted to develop a north-south route. Just looking at the map of Somerset County, on the eastern part of the county, a lot of the southern townships already had ATVs and snowmobile roadways legalized, mm-hmm. and some of the northern. We just had to connect that through the middle. And through meetings and stuff, I've gotten met with a lot of pushback. Mm-hmm. So after fighting that fight for about a year, kind of thought, let's just develop a southern trail, incorporating the southern townships that are already legal. Mm-hmm. And so we've done that. We've developed a trail that's about 52 miles, connecting Garrett, Myersdale, Salisbury together, utilizing Greenville Township, Summit Township, Elk Lick Township, Larimer Township. And then PennDOT came, and PennDOT said, hey, we know that this is something that our constituents like to do. Yeah. Our residents like to get out and ride side by sides in ATVs. Mm-hmm. We want them to do that as safely as they can.
Right.
So they open things up to where now township supervisors can petition PennDOT to open up certain sections of PennDOT roadways within their township, basically using it as a connector to from one township road to another township road. And we submitted a bunch of paperwork for that. We submitted 50 requests that would link the whole Southern Trail together, and we were denied on 48 of them.
Oh.
So we kind of went back to PennDOT and said, hey, help us out here. What are we doing? What are we looking at? Where do we need to change things up? So we're currently in the process of that.
Okay.
But, you know, I look to the south, and I see what's going on in West Virginia with the Hatfield-McCoy Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And just what an unbelievable moneymaker that is for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I thought, well, that was pretty low fruit. You know, that's pretty easy picking here. We've got townships that are open. You know, if we can link township roads together, there's really no monetary investment to get a trail up and running. You know, since I got on, probably 6 months into my first year, then made contact with individuals in West Virginia and Maryland, and you know, they have a vision of a north-south trail system that would run from northern Alabama to New York.
Yeah.
So, and Somerset County would be the gateway to the north.
Yeah.
So I look at that and think that the opportunity is absolutely endless.
That moves people through here, and they support local businesses, and you know, just brings recreation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been down to the Hatfield-McCoy Trail.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how receptive everybody down there is.
Yeah.
You know, you go pulling into the gas station with 6, 8, 10 buggies. You know, you go in, fill up with gas, get a snack. Yeah. You know, and they're all like, "Hey, where are you guys from?"
Yeah, stop at a restaurant for lunch. You know, stuff. Yeah, I did that one time with Super City Sports Sales.
Okay.
I worked for them right out of high school, and they went on a snowmobile trip every year to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Okay.
And I mean, that place is pretty desolate.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, every town is like dotted with, you know, a little bar here, restaurant, gas station, just like you said.
Yeah.
But what feeds those places in the winter is the people that go up there and do these snowmobile trails. I mean, it's gorgeous. It was so much fun. We went for a week, and you would ride all day long. And I don't know how many miles you cover in a day, and not touch the same piece of trail.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so cool.
Like one of the things I think about here is, you know, if you just developed a guide who just took people to see the covered bridges in Somerset County.
Yeah.
I mean, this Somerset County in the fall.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get any more beautiful than that.
Yeah.
Or you know, there you go with maple sugar canes.
Yeah. Ride to the maple tour camp.
Why not?
Side by side. Yeah. So is the hang up kind of like private lands that don't want a trail going through there?
Well, I'm not even approaching that yet. Okay. You know, that was kind of going to be phase 2. Uh-huh. You know, I think some people are ill-informed in the law, and there's a little hang up with that. You know, that some of the individuals think that they can be sued legally as individuals.
Yeah.
Where the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code clearly states that's it legalizes it. It actually addresses it in the section.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I still do. Just a quick story on that. A buddy of mine owns White Horse Brewing.
Uh-huh.
And I don't drink, but you know, we like to go back there for trivia night.
Yeah.
And you know, there'll usually be a food truck there or something like that. And so I pull in the driveway one evening, and there's like 8 buggies sitting in there. Yeah. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. You know, I'm shooting Irv attacks and saying this is the opportunity I'm saying. So I get in there, and I see a buddy of mine from Bedford County. Our sons wrestled each other, and you know, we got to be friends. I said, "Hey, what are you doing up here?" He goes, "Oh, we rode the buggies up." I said, "That's you guys?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You know, we come up over Schaefer Mountain into Shade Township where it's legal, into Stony Creek Township where it's legal, into Brothers Valley, into Berlin." Well, Brothers Valley, it's not legal, so they were outlaws for a short period of time.
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah." He said, "You know, we come up here, you know, get a drink, grab something to eat." He said, "There's probably another 15 of us out at East End." I said, "Are you serious?"
Wow.
He said, "Yeah." He said, "We don't have anywhere to ride in Bedford County." He said, "So, you know, we come up here." And, you know, I just thought, well, just that one instance, how much money did that bring into the economy of Berlin Borough?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kind of the Gap Bike Trail does a similar thing, you know, for people that want to pedal.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you don't even have to do that anymore.
Right, with the electric bikes, yeah.
Right, yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, I could see it being a good thing. I mean, I can understand some hesitation probably from people that are have the private, like you said, it's just understanding what their liabilities are and stuff like that.
We did, you know, Potter County has the North Central ATV Trail up there, and got to be good friends with Commissioner Rossman up there. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Hey," I want to come up and take a look. He's like, "You know, come on up." So we went up. stayed at a hotel up there, and this is what a small world it is. The individual that owned the hotel up there was the former superintendent at Wimber High School.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, you drive up clear northern part of the county and you still run into somebody from Somerset.
Right, yeah.
But,
we're all over.
Got up there and rode with him, rode for a couple days, had a great time, and, he just showed me what they did. And that's kind of what I modeled ours out, because they have state forest, but then they utilize township roads and state roads for the vast majority of their trail.
Yeah.
And it's I think I saw the study. They didn't have any numbers from the first year, and this year would have actually been the fourth. But the second year, it brought in $8 million to Potter County.
Wow.
Third year, it brought in 11.
Yeah.
And I said, if Potter County can do 11 million, Somerset County can do 30.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've ever been to Potter County, but there's no fast way to get there.
Right.
You know, it is twisty, turny the whole way up.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, well, hey, I mean, it sounds, I know guys that do the same thing, the rider buggies, and, we did it on four-wheelers when we were kids,
right.
Not legally, but right. You had to go, the only time I ever rode in the back of a cop car was, I got pulled over on my four-wheeler, going from my farm to the neighboring farm.
Okay.
And I was on the mud pike, and I did this like daily. I went to see one of my good friends, Luke Swanwick. And I was through there daily. Just a short from the farm up Mud Pike for I don't know, less than a mile. Yeah. State trooper passed me going the opposite direction. I mean, I was on a pretty fast four-wheeler. I could have easily hit the dirt road at the farm. Gone,
Right.
But because I did this daily, I knew this wouldn't be my last trip.
Right.
So I stopped, which was, looking back, I'm like, oh, that's pretty smart on my behalf.
Right.
I stopped, and he even asked me, he goes, why did you stop? Because he knew I could get away.
Right.
And I said, I come through here every day. I said, if I didn't stop today, the next time you found me, you probably would have been madder. He goes, that's really smart. Now turn the key off and get in the back of the car. Took me to the Swanovics, and it made me go and load my four-wheeler up on the back of the truck.
Yeah.
And take it I had 30 yards to get to the township road where my farm was on.
Yeah.
But I think he just wanted me to know he was serious.
Right.
Right. But, and when I got dropped off at their house in the back of the cop car, they're like, damn, what did you do? I'm like, nothing that bad. We just got to go get my four-wheeler, which they were fine with.
Well, anytime I had to run in with something similar, I would just pull over and just say, hey, as long as I don't get any complaints on you, I don't care what you do. Right. Just be careful.
Right. And I think, that was his mindset. But he was like, I don't know. Gave me a story to tell. I didn't get any trouble, but he was like, I never saw the guy again,
Yeah.
So I kind of just hugged the berm a little tighter.
Right. Play it safe.
But so you have a extensive career in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And so could you walk us through, your career as a state trooper and then into the other parts of that you were in? Yeah. I
first got interested in law enforcement. I was probably a high school junior, and my cousin Kenny Fochtman got on with the Maryland State Police, and and it kind of hit me like a lightning bolt. I was like, oh, state trooper, that sounds like that would be a pretty cool job. I think I would enjoy that. And Kenny and I were pretty close, and I talked to him a lot about it. So when it came time to when I graduated high school, I went to IUP. I was a criminology major up there, but it wasn't very focused because I knew this is just something I was going to do for 2 years till I was old enough to take the test. I wasn't worried about getting a degree or anything like that. I should have went into to one of the services is what I should have done. But never even thought of that as an option, never even knew about veterans preference or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I did processing for Maryland State Police and Pennsylvania. Maryland put a hiring freeze on at that point in time, and so I got in with Pennsylvania, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to wear the big hat. I wanted to be a PA state trooper. Yeah. So went to Hershey. This is Brian Fochtman's luck in a nutshell. The class ahead of me was at Greensburg.
I'm sorry if I said Fochtman in the beginning.
That's fine.
Fochtman.
Fochtman, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the class ahead of me went to Greensburg. The class behind me went to Greensburg. But I get to go to Hershey.
Okay.
You know, so instead of being an hour away from home, you know, I'm 2.5.
Yeah.
But went down there. It's 26 weeks of training. Upon graduation, I got stationed at Uniontown.
Oh, okay.
Which, you know, I said if I'd have lived on this side of the county, I'd have commuted it.
Right.
But, you know, New Baltimore's about a 3-day walk from Rockwood.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So I was really hoping I would get stuck in Bedford, because at that time you couldn't go to your home troop.
Yeah.
Which Somerset County's Troop A, Fayette County's Troop B, Bedford County's Troop G. So on paper I could have went to Bedford. But anyway, I got placed in Uniontown, and absolute culture shock.
Yeah.
You know, like I stated, I grew up in New Baltimore, town of about 150 people. Went to Berlin, graduated 96 people in my graduating class, and I get down to Fayette County, and it's just, this is the most urban area, you know, that I've ever been to for an extended period of time. And you know, I always said that Fayette County was probably as close as troopers get to being city cops.
Yeah.
Because we patrolled North and South Union Township, which basically circles Uniontown City, and you know, we had projects. You know, we had violent crime. When I got down there, crack cocaine was epidemic. My first coach decides one day that we're going to do a foot patrol. So we get out in Lemonwood Acres, and we're going to do a foot patrol. And I go walking past this storm drain. Well, I look down inside this storm drain, and I see all these tiny little plastic vials. They all have an orange lid on them. And, you know, this storm drain was probably 4 feet by 2 feet. And I could have hopped down in this thing, and I could have just shoveled those vials out with a snow shovel. Well, I looked at my coach and said, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, that's what they sell their crack in." He said they take that out and take the crack out and just, you know, throw that down on the ground, and the water washes it down into the storm drain. And I didn't know what crack cocaine was.
Yeah.
You know, it was quite the learning experience. And
I bet.
I spent about 2.5 years down there, and came running back home as quickly as I could.
Yeah.
At that time, I got married, had my first son, and shortly after that, the second son came. Yeah. But I got back to Somerset County. You know, got here, was happy. You know, I was home.
So you eventually you were a trooper in Somerset County?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. After Fayette County, transferred back home to Troop A, Somerset.
Is that something that you can do with some time?
3 years at that point in time. Now it changes. It goes back and forth a lot. I couldn't even tell you how it is now. But got back home. You know, bought a house. You know, everything was going great. And kind of got on midnight shift. Was getting a steady feel of everything. Then went to Walmart one time to purchase some groceries and stuff. And you know, I'm with my wife and 2 small children, and I saw 3 people that I dealt with my past set of midnights. And I was like, you know, everything's fine. I'm here, you know, but what if they recognize my wife or the boys, you know, the next time, and I'm not with, and something happens? I thought, you know what, I'm fortunate enough to live in a county that's got 2 stations. So then I started looking about going out to the Turnpike station, and eventually I transferred out to the Turnpike, was stationed in Everett for about a year, and then got back home to the Somerset Troop T barracks, and that's where I spent the remainder of my career.
Yeah.
You know, it was a good choice for me, because it definitely stabilized my home life. You know, Turnpike wasn't you didn't deal with near as much stuff that you would take home.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, the domestics were gone, and
I never really thought of that, what you said about like running into somebody that you'd had to dealt with, being with your family. Like you said, you got to have some concern with your family then after
correct.
After seeing them, if they Yeah. And so on the turnpike, you're not running into locals as much.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, you're dealing with people for 10, 15 minutes, sending them on their way.
Yeah.
A lot more crashes. But I said out there the crashes weren't as bad because generally they were going in the same direction.
Yeah.
You know, there was no car versus tree.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is a lose scenario.
Yeah, very much so. The trees don't ever lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that out there, I worked midnights out there, and I said it basically. It got me from my sons playing pee wee football and pee wee wrestling to varsity.
Yeah.
You know, and then whenever they got in varsity, I got off midnights and you know, did a lot of coaching through the years and stuff, and
Yeah.
had a lot of fun with them.
So, being a state trooper, like the lifestyle, is it? I mean, I know a couple guys who struggle with the sleep schedule, depending on, you know, shift that they're on and stuff like that. But otherwise, I mean, something that you would recommend for young men and women to check out.
For sure, I can't imagine doing anything else.
Okay.
You know, it was a wonderful experience. Have some great friends. You know, a lot of my best friends are guys that I worked with.
Yeah.
You know, and even if you know how it is, even if it's one of those situations where you haven't talked for a year, 2 years,
Yeah. You pick up right where you left off.
You step right into it, and it's you know, it's like you never missed a step.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just drawn to those type of people. But yeah, I mean, I think you know, one of the aspects that I looked at is it was a 25-year retirement.
Yeah.
You know, so I was 48 years old whenever I retired.
Yeah.
You know,
awesome.
Which then that opens up a whole nother
Right, kind of
book. You know, it's like what do I do now?
Yeah.
Because you're too young to just
Yeah.
cash in your chips.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Yeah. Well, I can see you stay in shape.
yeah.
You know.
Well,
that's good because.
I said if you own a gym, you better look like you know what the inside of it looks like.
Oh, you own that gym in
Yeah.
Berlin?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's actually
Mountain Fitness, right?
Yeah, Iron Mountain.
Iron Mountain.
Iron Mountain. Yeah, it's actually myself, my two sons, Bryce and Braden, and then our cousin Jason Cornell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We opened that thing up. So I don't know if I can tell you the story of how that all started, but it might get me in a little bit of trouble. It was, you know.
You got an open mic, man. Go for it.
Well, if they come get me, I'll know why.
Yeah.
Whenever my ex-wife and I built the house that I currently live in, you know, I told her, I said, hey, you can have everything above grade. I get the basement. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
So I put a wrestling room in and a weight room. And I looked at my boys. They would have probably been, 10 and 11 and 12, something like that at the time. And I said, now, you've got the tools to be successful. It's up to you guys to work at it. Yeah. So, you know, they utilized it all through high school. They had fantastic football and wrestling careers in high school. I'm very proud of both of them. But then they go to college. And Bryce went and wrestled at UPJ. Braden played football at Slippery Rock.
Yeah.
And it's Braden's last semester. COVID hits.
Yeah.
They shut down everything. Well, Braden was student teaching. So he comes home and, you know, everything's going remote. So we were there, and we still had we had a little cousin that was still playing football at Berlin. And I said, just tell him that, you know, all the gyms are shut down, school's shut down. Just tell him to come out here and lift. So he comes out and starts to lift. Well, he tells one or two people, who tell one or two people. To this point, I've got 50 kids lifting in my basement.
Yeah.
You know, it's and I don't mind.
Yeah.
You know, because I wasn't worried about COVID.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Screw that.
Yeah. So they come in. You know, everybody's lifting, and you know, Jason and I had talked about buying the building that we're currently in a couple years prior to that. And I said, Jace, I said, you know, if that comes open again, we got to jump on that. I got to get this out of the basement.
Yeah.
So
good idea.
Yeah, it came available. We purchased it, went in, gutted everything out. You know, moved all the equipment from obviously from my basement into there, and purchased a bunch of new equipment. And we've been evolving with that thing ever since.
Yeah. Right.
And it's you know, I always enjoyed lifting. Now I actually do better now that it's out of my house.
Yeah.
You know, because I have to make an effort.
Yeah, right. That's the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah, I could find every excuse under the sun to not walk down 2 flights of steps.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that. So yeah, you got you're entrepreneurially minded too. Yeah, you saw a need and capitalized on it. Really, that's awesome. And it gives kids the guys there. I'm sure the football team has access to a gym at the school, but in that case they didn't. Right. But, for that's a positive outlet.
Oh yeah. And it's something like when we started there, we thought, if we can get 50 or 60 members, we can keep the lights on and squirrel money away for equipment. Well, we've been able to do a lot better than that. Yeah. And so we've been able to do things a lot faster than what we thought we were going to be able to do. Yeah. And our prices are low because none of us need it as an income. Yeah. So we're rolling anything we can back into the gym. We're doing a nice big expansion right now. But yeah, I'm very proud of it because I look at it as a way to help the people they're from, not just from Berlin, but all over.
You have any trainers over there?
Well, Braden does most of the training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He keeps thinking that I need to go get some training, and I'm and I'm like,
listen, son,
I've got enough irons in the fire. I'll help out anybody through 40 years of lifting. I've picked up a thing or two.
I can tell.
I can help. Yeah.
I see you're staying in shape, man. Good for you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. I didn't know that you owned that.
Yeah.
So, while we're on the state trooper thing, like, what do you think is like a common misconception that, after you were in it for your entire career, what do you think is a common misconception that people have about state troopers?
I think, and probably police in general, that we're not human.
Yeah.
I said, and maybe I approached the job the wrong way. I was a lot of things before I was a trooper. I was a son, I was a husband, I was a brother, I was a father. I was a friend. That just happened to be my job.
Yeah.
And I did it to the best of my ability. But yeah, I think a lot of people, you see the uniform, you see the hat, and you don't see the person. And I see now the way that I think I got out before it really went bad.
Yeah.
The way the law enforcement is treated now.
Yeah.
You can call us all kind of names, throw everything, under the sun at us, but we're still willing to take a bullet for you.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's getting better.
Yeah. Oh,
and like where we live, which is one of the great things about where we live, the majority, I'll say the majority of the people have great respect for our law enforcement, military, first responders, stuff like that.
Very much so. Yeah. And again, that's why I came running back to Somerset County as quickly as I could.
I hate the horror stories of these cities that are defund the police.
Yeah.
That's
right. Total anarchy.
Yeah, right. There's no common sense to that at all.
Nothing. No. Get counselors there.
Yeah.
Why do you need to send? If it's a domestic, why do you need a police officer? Send a counselor. Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen domestics get very violent very quickly.
Yeah. I'm fortunate to have a few friends that are police officers, whether it's a state trooper or township cop, but they're interested in other things. They have families,
right.
They're doing their job, and if you don't want to be on the wrong side of it, don't break the law.
Well, right.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
That was one of the things. Like my dad said to me whenever I transferred back home. He's like, well, what are you going to do? If you run into, friends or family or anything like that. I'm like, well, Dad, if it's a situation where they put themselves in that situation, then we'll have to deal with it that way. I said, if it's a situation where I put them in that situation, I can handle it a different way.
Right.
But yeah, if you're,
that's kind of how I approach my children. You put yourself in this situation.
Right.
You gotta be a bad cop once in a while. They think you are, but you're actually just doing your job as a parent.
Right.
There's a little bit of crossover.
Right. And you know what? And ultimately, that's what it is being a police officer. You're trying. It might hurt right now, but it's going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah. Well, even just that getting pulled over on the
right.
I thought twice. Washwood Roads I went on, and
right.
But
yeah. But then after the state police, I kind of said there, I was 48 years old. Took about 6 months off. Braden and I took a trip to Germany because I'd always told him that whenever I retire, we're going to head back to the fatherland and see where our roots came from. And that was an unbelievable trip. We'll get back home, and my buddy says to me, he goes, Sheriff's Department's looking for some part-time guys. Are you interested? And I'm like, yeah, heck yeah. So I started working part-time with the Sheriff Department, and then that's whenever the school resource officers started getting picked up everywhere because of the funding from the state.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting hired at Berlin Borough as the chief / school resource officer. And I did that in conjunction with working a little bit part-time with the Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
And, I loved it. I said, getting in the school was, with all the coaching that I did throughout the years, in law enforcement, I said it was a position made for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I loved it, and I said, it was the high school kids were great. Because I knew most of them because they lifted at my gym, and the elementary kids were great because you walked down there, you felt like a rock star.
Yeah,
it's just the middle school. I said there's so much going on there. I tried to clear the middle school while class was in session.
You never know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
That's those are formidable years for those kids.
Right.
But having a positive role model in the school for them, I think I don't see any downsides to it.
Yeah.
And a couple years ago, we got one at Rockwood Area School District, Officer Doman.
Great guy.
Yeah. And I was thrilled with that because, I see no reason for our schools to not have one. I just don't know. I don't know anybody that would argue against it.
Right.
I know there was some controversy about having teachers carry and stuff like that.
Right.
But to have that presence in today's day and age, well, let's face it, we do not want to be on having, hindsight's 20/20.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like unfortunately, we just happen to live in an age where there are nuts that do stupid stuff, and they don't take innocent people into consideration at all. And we see it all over the country. I don't think Somerset County should ever give one of our schools anybody an opportunity in one of our schools.
Right.
So having a resource officer there is great. Now, does Berlin still have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know that? Do most schools in Somerset County currently do?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know, like the grant funding. I know. I just spoke with somebody from Rockwood. Like it was coming to an end maybe this year or something like that. But I think they're going to put them on staff.
Yeah.
Anyway, which is great because, I would love to see that never go away.
Right.
And actually, for bigger school districts, let's get another one.
Right.
Like let's build on it.
And I think you're hitting on a good point there. Well, I think it has been incorporated into the school now, where it's just part of the school. It'd be getting rid of the resource officer. You may as well get rid of the janitor. May as well get rid of the phys ed teacher because it's part of it now.
It should be.
I worked with,
unfortunately, but grateful that we are recognizing that this is just a reality.
Right. It's where we're at. When I got hired there, I worked with some great administration. And, my philosophy was, and I kind of laid this out to him when I got hired, is I don't want to be the boogeyman. I'm not here to be the heavy. I'm not here to be the enforcer. I'll do that if you need me to. But I want those kids to look at me as I'm here for them.
Yeah.
I'm here to make sure that they get to school safe, they can study safely, and they get home safe.
Yeah.
And if there is a problem, I want them to be able to come to me.
Yeah.
Almost kind of, like a counselor-like position.
Yeah, the principal signs up for that job.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I said, and that's kind of what I said, let's handle everything we can by the student handbook.
Yeah.
And if it gets beyond that, obviously we'll address it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the guy that I got to come down here and I got to be the bad guy all the time. And the administration that I worked with was fantastic with that.
Yeah. I learn a lot on this podcast, but one thing I've learned over the years as a contractor is that you're only as good as the materials you use and the people you work with. That's why I go to SDC Building Center in Somerset. Whether I'm remodeling an interior or adding curb appeal to a home by putting on a porch, or extra storage in building a pole building, they've got everything I need for my business. So whether you're a contractor like me or just tackling a weekend project around the house, head into SDC Building Center, tell them the Route 281 podcast sent you, and you'll see why they're the go-to place for builders in our area. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would imagine that your eyes and ears have to be looking out, not really in.
Right,
you
right,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Or maybe the random circumstance within, like you said.
Right.
But for the most part,
yeah, exactly.
You're
I'm more worried about those threats that are coming into the school.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And like I said, I try to. You know, the great thing about Berlin is it's all connected.
Yeah.
You know, but different entrances, different days. I tried to be as random as I could. You know, that way nobody could get it. You know, what I was doing. You know how I routinely. I didn't want anything to be routine. I guess would be the best way of saying it.
And that can kind of be a little bit of a demanding job because the school functions on all kinds of hours.
Yeah.
From assemblies and things, sports after school. I know they sometimes do like a private security for sporting events.
Right.
Because, I mean, boy, you would have some long days if you went to every.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
yeah.
But.
Yeah.
Did you do any like the football game stuff?
I did. Well, I was.
Out of uniform, probably. You were there.
Right, I was there, you know, and I made sure that they knew that I was there.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, and obviously I would go to the wrestling matches, basketball games, and when I was there, I would address stuff if I needed to, even though there might be security there.
I mean, this is my naive perspective, but I think that would be like a great gig for a retired police officer like yourself, you know, or somebody. And I think Officer Doman is a similar background.
Yeah, he's a retired trooper.
Yeah.
I worked with Jeff. Jeff's a really good guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm just so grateful that we've kind of taken that initiative here, and we should be like Somerset County schools are the safest schools in the state.
Yeah,
and this should be something that because these kids are innocent.
Right.
These teachers they're teaching. They're running a school. They don't have time to, think about this new, unfortunate circumstance that this world is in with.
And what's, like you're saying there, the teachers worry about teaching, administration has their job to do. And coming from my background where, that's, obviously the people that I work with, we all pretty much thought the same way.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that shocked me is whenever I did get there and there were things that jumped, the first thing that jumped into my mind that these people had never thought about.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we need to get some type of barricade here, or we need to, secure this up, or, this is a blind spot. We got to get rid, it's just, it was funny to me just because, it was so obvious to me, but not
that
realizing.
Isn't to somebody who's not in that field.
Right.
You're trained.
Exactly.
You're trained on that. We look at, may see some of the obvious stuff, but when you're trained, it's the little things that make a difference. I did that RVAT report, the risk and vulnerability assessment. Joe Kozak had told me about it, and so the old church that I went to had not only the church building, but also a fellowship hall that was an old school.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in there, and I'm like, that's just where my mind goes. I'm like, I conceal carry. I have some friends that are state cops, and I went for criminal justice for a semester and a half at Allegheny Community College. So I thought I was going to be a trooper.
Yeah.
But I just didn't see myself doing it, so I got out, before I'd spent too much money. Anyways, I'm kind of minded like that, I sit in a restaurant, I like to see the door. We went to a movie the other day, and the whole time, and it just happened to work out where I sat in a movie theater. I was in a perfect spot, because the trooper that trained it, or that gave us the report, when he walked us through our buildings, told us where to sit. If you are somebody that wants to carry, or where to sit, and kind of explain to us how a terrorist might act,
right,
and where they go, and so you should position yourself in how the response team would clear a room,
right,
and it's like as they go to the center, you want to be in an edge in the back, so that, because they want the attention,
right,
so they go to the middle. Yeah, it was very interesting. Everything from bushes to barricades around your HVAC systems to how many keys are out, where's the key box, things that you might not, who has a key,
Like our entrances, at Berlin, we're wide open, and we brought some natural barricades and stuff like that in. But yeah, it's amazing, and like that follows you throughout life, and I'm sure my wife now probably gets tired of me, because my head's always going. I'm always analyzing and looking.
But you can't turn that off.
Right. No. It's just it's like a dog. Why does a dog do what they do? They don't know. They just
instincts.
Do it. Right.
Yeah. That RVAT report is free. Contact the state police and they'll have somebody come out and walk you through it. It's well worth the time. They give you a nice report when you're done and kind of steer you in the right direction. You can make the choices on your own to make changes if necessary. It was pretty good. But I wanted to touch on the resource officer position that you had, and which is great that you're in place there in the county so that you can help some of these schools go down that path if they need it. But the fact that every school has one,
it's a benefit.
It's a must-have.
It's a positive.
It's just why do we always plan for the worst case scenario and hope for the best?
I know if I had a young family right now, that would be one of the questions that I would ask a school district before I purchased a home there or built a home there. Hey,
sure.
What's security look like?
Yeah.
But that all kind of touches that, and with going with the sheriff's department, is kind of is what got me going with my political. Being over in the courthouse.
That's a good segue. So how did when did you? I know you've been the commissioner since 23, correct?
Yes. Well, it took office. 24, January 24.
Okay.
But prior to that, I was working at the courthouse, and it was kind of ironic how everything kind of hit. But working there, and one of the deputies said, Fluff, you know what you ought to do? I'm like, what ought I do?
Yeah.
Like, you ought to get involved in politics. So, retired trooper, lifelong Somerset County resident, you've got a good reputation, I think you'd really do well. And I'm a fan of Jim Jordan, representative from Ohio. And I think it's because Jim was a wrestler, and plus he's ultra-conservative. And I was watching him one evening, and he said, instead of sitting and complaining all the time, get involved. So hearing that, and then hearing the suggestion, there at the sheriff's department, I was like, yeah, I do need to get involved. And there were two positions that were coming up for election, prothonotary and treasurer. And I looked at prothonotary, and I thought with my law enforcement background, it'd be a natural progression, natural fit, because, you're still dealing with the law, you're just dealing with the civil side.
Right.
And so I ran for prothonotary and was fortunate enough to win.
Yeah.
And didn't realize all that was involved in that. And, first day I went in the office, and I said to the girls, I said, listen, there's one person here that doesn't know this job, and it's me. So you guys need to teach me this, I said, what can I do that will make your job easier?
Yeah.
And the first deputy, Jeannie Custer, who's now the prothonotary, said to me, she goes, well, Brian, if you handle the court, that will allow all of us to stay here in the office and get our job done. I said, you show me what I need to do, and I will do it. So that's pretty much what I did at my time there. That's
great to hear that you're like, somebody's humble enough to go in and lead that way. Like, say, listen, I'm willing, And I think that's the attitude that, these young people should have. It's okay to not know everything.
Right.
That's how you learn. You say, okay,
exactly.
I don't know. I'm willing to do whatever it is you tell me to do.
Yeah.
But I need to learn this. Very good.
I think
so you're kind of like a fly on the wall in the courtroom. Like, what is? When you're in the court as prothonotary, what's kind of your job?
Basically, what I was doing there is, you would swear people in when they were going to testify.
Okay.
And then basically, you're there until the judge renders his decision.
Yeah.
And then you go and document the decision. But it was, I had a lot of fun. The girls I worked with were fantastic. It's a busy office. Like I said, I don't think everybody understands everything that goes through the civil court system in Somerset County. I said our big hitters were obviously divorces, credit card debt, child custody, and PFAs, protection from abuse orders. That all goes through, and I would have never guessed that a PFA goes through. Even we enforced them, in the state police, but I never guessed that would have went through the civil court system. But I guess it's because no crime's been committed, so it's not going through the criminal end. You're just telling somebody, hey, stay away.
Yeah, it's a civil. I wouldn't have thought that either.
Yeah, but that we did a lot of that, and it took up a lot of time. Takes up a lot of time in the court, and then being down a judge for a while, like 2 years or so, clogged the system up even more.
Yeah, why were we down a judge?
Judge Gary retired.
Oh, okay. So they hadn't filled that position.
No, yeah, they would bring somebody in, a president judge to come in.
Oh, okay.
And handle some things. But then after that, I got approached to run for commissioner. I knew Irv a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I had coached his two sons with wrestling.
Yeah.
So just he was that parent that was a pain.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, you should have come to me. I knew Irv growing up. Like, we ran around together, like, probably towards high school. Like, that's funny because, like, when we were in high school, like, we had some friends from Somerset, some friends from Berlin. We had, like, a little group that got together from all over. We kind of were, like, maybe because we were all rednecks.
Very good.
I don't know, but we all had kind of, we even found some from Somerset,
But Irv, Irv and I sat down together and thought, hey, why don't we consolidate things, run as a team?
Yeah.
And we did that, and again, fortunately, we won, and it, I can't imagine being there without him.
Yeah.
We're definitely like a yin and a yang, and where my weaknesses are, his strengths are, and vice versa. And we've developed a very good friendship now.
Yeah.
Over the past couple of years.
Yeah, they're good people. Irv and his family, we go to the same church.
Yeah. I love his boys.
Yeah,
Lisa's
they're
fantastic.
Good kids.
They really are.
Yeah.
And I look at that with Cody and Seth. I think a lot of my own sons. And just I know what Irv's going through.
Mm-hmm.
With those two kids and their athletics and
that's that point in their life where there are decisions to make, and I don't envy young people trying to make a decision on a career because it's tough. It's tough to decide, especially if you're going to go to college. You don't want to waste your money.
It's expensive.
It's too expensive.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to know and then to go and So, all right. Yeah. So you guys went on the same kind of pulled your resources together, and that was effective and kind of a little bit more efficient than going it alone, maybe.
Right. And with we're from the same region, but he was much more well known in the Rockwood confluence area, where I was Berlin, New Baltimore, and Myersdale area, and and I think it really benefited both of us doing that.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's he and I probably 90% of the time we're thinking the same thing and where what we want to do and where we want to go and with the county and we have a vision.
So I'll ask you one more thing about your law enforcement. How does your career in law enforcement help you as a commissioner and the mindset that you have as a county?
I think just honestly, probably hearing both sides of the story, and getting all the facts before you make a decision.
Okay.
And then sticking with that decision, and so that's the biggest part of the job is getting all the information that you can get, analyzing it, thinking what is the best step for Somerset County. Mm-hmm. I said, I hope that anybody that knows me knows that this wasn't about Brian Fochtman.
Yeah.
I've never lived my life for myself. Whenever I was a kid, I always wanted to make my brothers. I'm the youngest of six, and always wanted to make my brothers proud. Always wanted to make my parents proud of me. Then obviously the career that I chose, I always wanted to make my sons proud of me. Mm-hmm. And this is just an extension of that. I want to do what's best for this county. If it benefits me, I don't care.
Yeah.
If it benefits the county residents, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Well,
when you've got sons and family members growing up in this county,
Right.
and you want to see it be a success for generations to
Right.
come. And it's got to be a fine line of like maintaining our heritage, but also looking to kind of grow
Right.
the economics,
Right.
grow the investments,
And we kind of touched on it earlier. We have a lot of kids moving out. You said that you did for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
My 4 oldest brothers all left. I said I was the youngest of 6, but I grew up an only child. My 3 oldest brothers all moved to York County and worked at the Harley Davidson factory. My sister passed away. My next brother up from me is 6.5 years older than me. He went to the Navy and actually retired from the Navy.
Oh, awesome.
So at age 12, I had 5 siblings, but I was an only child, which, they say that mom and dad spoiled me, but, so I know that effect. I lost my brothers. Now they're all moving back because they're all retiring, which is great. Now I've got a chance to spend time with them that I never had before. Mm-hmm. It was a weird dynamic.
Cool. Yeah, we just got to get that age group, something for that age group that seeking that next level opportunity. There's jobs here, and I've worked several of them. But that degree will benefit you to stay here rather than take it somewhere else.
Right. And
that's tough to do. I get it, because not every county can be the same, or not every,
Well, you think of the jobs that are gone from the region. My dad worked at Bethlehem Steel. Mm-hmm. Those jobs aren't coming back, and that was a huge employer between Bethlehem Steel and U.S. Steel. Even in Somerset County, we've lost some manufacturing jobs that aren't coming back. We're going to try to get them back. Mm-hmm. Snyder's or Berlin.
Yeah,
shutting
I wanted to
down.
ask you about that.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of friends that were employed there.
I can imagine.
And we're doing everything that we can.
Does that kind of hurt, like tax revenue for the school also?
That'll hurt the school. It'll hurt the borough. It's a bad situation, and we're working and trying to figure out, first of all, how to make contact with the company that owns it, because we've been unable to do that.
Yeah.
You reach out through emails, and the emails don't get back. And I know, Representative Metzger's been working hard on it, and we're just hitting a wall there.
I've been trying to get somebody that works in there on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll ask you later.
Okay.
Maybe
okay.
you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I just thought, because that's kind of been a staple for a long time,
Yeah, yeah,
Like I'm wondering, like, do we got to start buying some Snyder's of chips to keep as a keepsake?
Yeah, very true.
Grab your favorite bag and store it in the house, because they've been around a long time.
Right.
We knew somebody there when I was growing up. We had fair pigs.
Okay.
And so my brother had a friend who must have parents that worked in there or something, but they would bring us feed sacks full of stuff they swept off the floor.
Okay.
And we'd feed it to our pigs. Once in a while you find a pretzel that wasn't stale, but I didn't recommend eating it. But.
That was always, I didn't, again, perspective, I didn't realize that was our town's, call to fame.
Yeah.
Until I get to college and people are like, where are you from? And be like, Berlin. And they're like, where's that? I'm like, Snyder's or Berlin potato chips. They're like, yeah. I was like, okay, that's where I'm from.
Yeah, we don't want to see that go away. But.
No, heck no.
Yeah, very cool. So we talked about. Oh, okay. I know what I wanted to ask you. I saw, we got a budget increase. Is that right? For the county budget increase, did we get
no tax increase?
Tax increase.
Yeah, no tax increase.
No tax increase, but didn't our county get a grant recently, or maybe not?
Yeah.
Maybe I was reading that.
Well, I mean, we get several grants. We received a $80,000 grant for the study for the ATV trail system.
Yeah, I thought it was for like the first responders or something like that.
Well, with the local share, we're being able to purchase some vehicles around the county with that.
Okay. But did I see something about a training facility at the airport?
Bringing in a company's going to come in. They're going to rent a hangar. They're going to rent a room there to do some training for some flight lessons and stuff like that.
Okay, which is cool because I know like the VOTEC now has a
correct,
so that could kind of work with them.
Right,
Students could
right.
go
That's
over
what
there
we're.
and check.
Yeah, that's what we're really hoping.
Yeah.
You know, where can we make the connections?
Yeah.
You know, what can we do out at that airport to make it more of an asset for Somerset County?
Yeah.
You know, and obviously bringing a flight school in there, hey, it's going to help out a little bit. It's going to get some more people there. You know, hopefully we can get some students out of Somerset County, and that's obviously a career opportunity that might be there for some.
Yeah, some more pilots. You know, I had Dr. Mike Knapp, who's U.S. Army retired. I don't know if you know Mike.
Yep.
But he does the drone training. He goes around to the school systems, and what a great thing. Like, he'll teach students how to fly this drone. If they pass the class, they get a $500 drone and their pilot's license.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he'll go to your school district, and you can sign up. You just got to check. I think you can probably find that through that VOTEC program.
Okay.
Or maybe he's through actually IU8.
Okay.
The Allegheny Intermediate Unit. I believe. You have to go listen to his episode because I know he talks about it. But I forget stuff. Yeah. But anyway, I thought that was cool. So maybe, kids have a place to go out there.
And you know, opportunity. That's what it's all about. You know, what can we do to help the next generation of kids? You know, I'm sure, you know, whenever you were getting ready to graduate, and there's half a dozen things that you knew about. Yeah. You know, but there's so many directions that you can go, and it is much easier now because you can get on the World Wide Web and look into things and see what your interests are. And
I see it now as like, oh, you kids have anything you want to do is really at your fingertips. It may not exactly be here or wherever you live, but I mean, there is a lot of opportunity out there to apply. You know, just get into see what's hot right now. You know.
Yeah, well, like I said, I owe my career choice to my cousin. Mm-hmm. If he would have never done this, I'd have probably never thought about being a trooper. Mm-hmm. Just was never exposed to it. Yeah, you know.
When I worked for Super City, one of the guys that worked there part time as a salesman was a Somerset police officer, and that's kind of what I was like. I hadn't really thought about it, you know. And then I just kind of, I enjoyed him. He was a great guy. Yeah. And we went on that snowmobile trip together, and before you know it, I had a buzz cut. And I was enrolled at Allegheny College for police or for criminal justice. You know, which now, like, I haven't kind of watched the last 4 years of the national political stage. Yeah, I'm like, oh, investigative journalism would be so much fun. Now we're seeing guys with an iPhone going around making breaking news what these national media doesn't cover. Right, and I mean. Kudos to them. All you need is some facts and a will to say, to ask some hard questions or even easy questions sometimes. And you can have a career in journalism, and it's all online.
Right. The Smalley up in Minnesota. I mean, that was exposed by a 23-year-old kid. Yeah, they're going around with some papers just asking questions. I'm sure he got that guy that was with him. I don't know who it was, but he probably was, either a lawyer who understood the legalities of starting a business, right? And they said, well, this isn't, where's this money going, right? You know, I mean, there's opportunity out there for young people to find their niche, and hone in on it. But there's just a ton of different things. It'd be tough to make the decision. Oh on, what you want to do, but. So what's kind of the county's top priorities at the moment, you think? Like, and how long are you in there? We just finished up our second year.
Okay.
We've got 2 more years on this election cycle.
Can you run for re-election?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is there any term limits to a commissioner?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
No, I believe Pam is currently serving her 6th
I was going to say, she's been in there a while. Yeah.
Yeah. The priorities are obviously, developing businesses. We want to get something in here. I would love to get a major employer in here. Again, with the Snyder's is the most current. But how many guys do we know that worked in the coal industry that are as much as I would like that to come back because it's huge for Somerset County. who knows if it is?
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely like to get some type of anchor here. The employee, a couple hundred people would be fantastic. That's the main priority, I believe. Making this
like another Riggs,
or something to that effect. I mean, you think Coleman. We lost Coleman.
Yeah,
it's not been replaced.
Yeah.
Gilmore's really not been replaced.
Mm-hmm.
We had some major manufacturing here that are gone and not replaced, and it's like, where do those people going to work?
Yeah.
Because the population of Somerset County has stayed relatively the same.
Yeah.
We're usually in the mid or upper 70,000s,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is now, about 33% of our population is 55 or older. And again, we see it. We see our young kids moving away and coming back. That's where if we had some major manufacturing, and even a lot of the people that live here in the county are commuting, 30, 40 minutes to work outside of the county.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let's keep them home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I worked out of the Pittsburgh Carpenters Union for 5 years.
Yeah.
And we traveled a long
Right.
way from sometimes to State College.
Right.
Or Lancaster. A lot of these companies. I think it says something a lot about you can sit in church and you see a union carpenter, finisher, cement finisher, a couple laborers. You know what I mean? It's a hard-working bunch,
Right.
And they're willing to work,
Right.
It's just we have to for those jobs. Unfortunately, you got to travel a little
Hey,
bit.
I'll put a Somerset County work ethic up against anybody.
Yeah.
It's a hardy breed to stay up here on top of the mountain like this.
Yeah, the football players show that too.
You better believe it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, you got these young farm kids that go up and play football. They're used to wrangling some cattle.
Yep. That's why we produce some pretty good wrestlers too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. I had on, I don't know if you know Logan Flegel.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, he was on.
Yeah.
Talked to Bill about it. He wrestled for the Air Force.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
I can remember Logan back in high school.
Yeah.
I always told him, I said, you're my favorite North Star wrestler. He said, because his aunt and I graduated high school together.
Okay.
And, but yeah, Logan was a machine.
Yeah, he's a good dude too.
Yeah.
Served in the Air Force, and then through happenstance got on the U.S. Air Force wrestling team.
Yep.
And he said he met a guy over in, I think, Afghanistan, and in the gym, and they were talking, and he saw his cauliflower ear, and then they got on a conversation.
It's a telltale sign.
Yeah, right? Yeah. What's kind of, this could go back to your law enforcement career or here in the county, but have you had like a meaningful moment that stands out to you? Maybe as a trooper first, and
Oh wow, that's.
I mean, because I'm sure you got some stories.
Yeah,
yeah, and it could be a funny one too. What I mean? One of those ones where you're like, oof.
Oh geez, man, you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as meaningful moments go, that all goes back to family and the closeness that I have with my sons.
Yeah.
I was a single parent. So I raised the boys from they were probably 14 and 15. I raised them by myself, and we were really close beforehand, but then it just galvanized us together. And I said there's 2 times in my life that I thought my legs were going to go out from under me, and it was whenever I got to hang the medals around their necks down at Hershey for the state wrestling tournament. And don't get me wrong, I love to watch them play football, but there's just something about that connection with wrestling that it's just totally different. And for me to be able to be in their corner and to coach them, and I always I thank Jason for that opportunity. And but those are the moments that I really think about.
Very cool.
The just that bond that we share.
Yeah, just real proud as a parent. Yeah,
and those two being so close in age, they're only a year and 8 days apart.
Yeah, so
it's like we all kind of grew up together. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I still had to be the bad guy. Times.
Yeah.
But but I got a lot of good stories about as far as being a trooper. I'll tell one. You know Jim Peters?
I know of him, yes.
Okay, Jim's a Rockwood guy. Well,
Yeah.
You know, Jim's big as a tree.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's 6'5", and he and I are riding a midnight shift together. And we pull a car over, and I go up, and we had a microphone that you would hook on the epaulette of your shirt. So I go, and you know, Jim's standing back at the back of the car. I'm up talking to the passenger side, to the driver, and I lean in, and when I do, my vest kind of hits that microphone, and it falls. Well, I'm standing over a storm drain, so it falls straight into that. Didn't ting, 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 ting. No, swoosh, right down in. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So make contact with the vehicle, go back up, and Pete and I are sitting there in the car, and I'm filling out the citation. I go, you will not believe what just happened. He said, what? I go, my mic's in that storm drain. He's like, you're kidding me. Well, you can pick up the conversation.
Yeah.
And even though we're in the car, it still picks up our conversation because there's a mic in the car. And we're just going back and forth. And he's like, you know, Fluff, you got to get that thing out of there. He said, if they didn't get that out of there, they're going to charge you for it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, gosh. So go back up, make contact with the individual, issue the citation. They leave. Well, we get the pry bar out of the back of the car, and you know, we get the lid of the storm drain up. And I got to hop down in there. And, you know, I'm short, but I'm not small, you know. So I hop down in there and get the mic, and, you know, I step up into the drain and put my hand up for Jim to help me out. And you just don't realize, you know, I'm a pretty strong guy.
Yeah.
But you don't realize how strong somebody like that size is.
Yeah.
He pulled me out of there. I felt like a toddler. Like I was just hanging there.
Yeah.
But, you
That's
know.
funny.
Yeah,
You had no idea you're going to end up in a storm drain.
No, for sure.
Stop.
Yeah, and I was like, you know, but it's just, you know, things, little things like that.
Yeah,
that,
I'm sure.
You know, you laugh about 20 years later.
Yeah, very cool.
So
I know you said a couple irons in the fire that, you know, we're going to wait to hear about.
Yeah.
Can the public come to the meetings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, meetings are every other Tuesday at 10:30. And not only you can attend them in person, but we also have them online.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know if school boards are doing that, but they should too.
Yeah.
If they're not, because not every. I mean, and most of them are parents, and they know. Like, it is tough to make some. You know, as important as it is, and it is important. Like, you know, I can get online and look at the notes or the minutes from the meeting, which I've done. But thank you for doing that, because that makes it that much more accessible. But if you do need, you know, you have something you want to talk about in person, I'm sure there's a public part and maybe a private part that.
Oh yeah, I mean we're in there. You know, I said, you know, I treat it like a job.
Yeah.
It's Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4. Contact if you want to speak with me about anything. Contact the office.
Mm-hmm.
We'll set up a time. You come in. And you want the public to be informed.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I want somebody to do is thinking that, you know, that we're doing something underhanded or behind somebody's back. It's not how I operate.
Right.
You know, by all means, come in and talk, and we'll, you know, and if you have a question of why did I decide to do something that I did, I'll gladly sit down and talk with somebody. You know,
all you gotta do is ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In today's age, it's just good to be informed. You know, and
for sure.
You know, when you're younger, you know, like I said, I had no idea what the county government did or what it was for, you know, coming out of high school, and because you got a lot of other things on your mind, but they do affect you. They'll affect you later, if not at the moment. But like, you know, like you said, a good question is to ask if you're thinking of moving to a county or moving someplace. Get to know who's good. What a great resource to talk to if you want to move.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, for sure.
You know, you want to come into.
And I said, this is the position where I feel like my choices directly affect, you know, my neighbors more than anyone's.
Yeah.
You know, what President Trump does, you know, till it trickles down to us, you know, you know, you don't even notice it.
Right.
But it's the everyday decisions that we make that have a direct effect on our elderly or our young, our youth, you know.
Yeah. Anything that you're real excited about in the next, you know, couple years that, you know, that you can share, or?
Just, you know, going to keep working hard, trying to get that trail through. And I said, you know, not only for the economic boost of it, but just for the fact of, you know, like, I don't know if I'd call myself a side-by-side enthusiast, but I definitely enjoy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And, as a retired trooper, as a county commissioner, I hate feeling like I'm an outlaw.
Yeah.
Anytime I want to jump on it
Right.
and go riding.
Yeah.
So I think, that's the one thing that the township supervisors have to look at is, look how it benefits your constituents.
Yeah.
The people that live in your township.
Would that trail be kind of policed?
It would be.
Is that on like DCNR? Or
see, the way I want to do it, basically we'd get all the townships together, and then the county would pass an ordinance, and we'd get the sheriff's department out there doing some patrol.
Would that add a couple jobs to the sheriff's department?
If the trail was lucrative enough, it sure would.
Yeah.
Grand vision, I would see that this trail being its own separate county entity.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I'm pretty good friends with a lot of the deputies, and I think they would be pushing and shoving each other to be the ones that would patrol the trail.
Right. Yeah, you're out
what a great job. Yeah.
I don't know, like I said about the snowmobile trails up in the Upper Peninsula, they actually had some speed limits, and they had troopers on snowmobiles.
Yeah.
I mean, we passed one with a radar gun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was not at the place where we were all trying, like, the drag racing. but it was only in certain locations.
Yeah.
Going through town, crossing a railroad track, stuff like that. Like, you had to respect.
Right.
It wasn't just, and people did because it was a fun thing to do, and like, you didn't want to get it taken away.
Right, and I think that's something that we've seen from some of the township that have legalized them, is that traffic increases, but speed decreases, and observation of traffic control devices increases, because I think it's just human nature. That when you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, you want to get it over with as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Where if it's legal, you're going to do it in as leisurely a manner as you see fit.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that that people, when they think about these side-by-sides and ATVs, it's a totally different culture. I think that when people think of that, the first thing they think of is that, stereotypical 14, 15-year-old kid that's on his, fast quad and is just ripping up and down the lane. The side-by-side has totally changed that.
Yeah.
It's a more of a family.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Than
People get
anything.
together and go for a group trip.
Right. Like I bought a 4-seater specifically for the fact of so that I can haul 3 people around with me,
Right.
Let's go get something to eat and
enjoy
it's my way of enjoying the outdoors.
Right.
I growing up where I did, sometimes I think that I'm the anomaly. I don't hunt, I don't fish, and I never chewed.
Yeah.
So, I said till I came around, I'd said there, my brothers moved away, and my dad just didn't do it anymore. So, first day of buck season was always the first day of wrestling season. So I was like, I ain't getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, got in the woods, and then hitting wrestling practice later.
I understand.
I mean, I probably could have because I wasn't that good of a wrestler, but
I don't know. I find that hard to believe. I wouldn't want to wrestle you now. We talked about residents can be involved. Any last thing before we wrap up? But what would you say to somebody considering public service, or whether that be a trooper, sheriff's department, or county service like yourself? I think some people are. Maybe for public office, some people would have a little bit of hesitation putting themselves out there. But kind of what's been your motivation for doing it? Well, I know your motivation you talked about, but what would you say to a young person who's considering public service? I
would say do it. To me, there's no greater thing than serving your fellow man.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those things, if not me, then who? I would rather be the one going into that firefight. I'd rather be the one going and pulling that person out of a crash or something like that. And going into the political realm, it's just you're taking hand grenades, but it's a different type.
Yeah.
I've had my integrity questioned, my intelligence questioned, which I'd rather have my intelligence than my integrity.
Yeah, right.
But but at the end of the day, it's to me it was worth it. Both my law enforcement career and now this political career, because at the end of the day, you interact with some great people that are really thankful for you making the sacrifice that you're making. Yeah. And the all the negative stuff that just kind of fades away and just goes into background noise.
You have that thick skin.
You better believe it.
Yeah. Which I'm sure that carries over from being a trooper.
Well, that's what somebody asked me one time. What do you think of your new job? I said, well, at least I'm not getting shot at.
Yeah. You don't have to wear a vest.
Right. The gun belt and vest stay in the closet. I'm not saying the gun does.
Yeah, right. Very cool. You talked about you like being on the trail. What would you say? What best describes Somerset County in a word or two?
I would say God-fearing, good people, salt of the earth. I'm getting the chills talking about it. Just you're not going to meet a better group of people.
Yeah.
And I said it's great that Friday night you can hate each other, but boy, come Saturday if you needed somebody, they'd be right there with you.
Yeah.
I think of the rivalry that we always had with Berlin and Myersdale. Now as an adult, some of my best friends are guys that I played football against, because just at the end of the day, man, we're all Somerset County kids.
Right.
Just trying to live our life the best way we can and make it.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't have said it any better than that. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Brian Fochtman.
Hey, one more thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just that, you're gonna have tough times in life. There's a lot of times that I've been putting down on a knee, and you take that knee and you get the perspective. And everybody sees everything from the outside, but you don't know. It's the classic. You don't know what somebody's gone through. You don't know what their life experiences were. Mm-hmm. I've been blessed. Been put down on the knee a lot, but I've been blessed so much. Toughest times in my life, I always turn to God.
Yeah. And
as long as you're willing to be humbled and ask Him to bless you and bring you the things that you truly need in your life. In my darkest hours, the good Lord, He brought me a good woman.
Yeah.
My current wife, Vicky, I don't know where I'd be today without her. And my sons, I leaned on my sons so much, they probably don't realize it. And, they got me through, like I said, some really dark times. But just, the message out there, look at everybody. You don't know what they've gone through in their life. You don't know why they're in the situation that they're in. Mm-hmm. But it's amazing what a smile and a handshake and just have a good day, will do to somebody. Yeah. But always trust in God.
Yeah.
Put Him first, and don't be afraid to take a knee and just take a long, hard look at yourself and say, "Dear Lord, I am a sinner.
Yeah.
And I need your help."
Yeah.
And that's all it takes.
Yeah.
And God bless everybody. God bless Somerset County, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm very grateful. I'm glad you did it. I enjoyed this conversation.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going to give you this sticker. It's an IOU. I'm out of hats, but they're on order.
There you
go.
go.
You take that.
All right, and, fantastic.
And I'll come by the office one day. I'll give your secretary a call, and I'll stop by when I get the hats in.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
thank you very
good. Much. All right, Brian Fochtman, thank you so much. Doing a great job there at the county. Really, God bless you guys in there, and just grateful. Keep it up. Keep striving to make Somerset County great again.
We're gonna try, buddy.
Make it the best in the state, man.
You better.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again to SDC Building Center for supporting the Route 281 podcast. I use them for my contracting work, and I can tell you they're the real deal when it comes to service and quality. So the next time that you're planning a project, stop in and see them at SDC Building Center.